Okay, so the seventh life lesson is actually a quote, and it's a quote that I always remember, and it's hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. And that was coined by a chap called Jerzy Gregorek. So it's basically about trying to avoid short-term pleasure that doesn't have any long-term benefits. And you can kind of use it as a tool in life. So when you're about to do something, you can think, is this a hard choice or is this an easy choice? Like, when you're driving late at night and you see like a fast food restaurant and maybe you're like craving fries or a burger. It's an easy choice because sometimes there's a drive-through and you're super hungry. But over time, you know that eating a lot of fast food is detrimental to your health in the long run. So your life would be harder. The harder choice is not doing it. And the thing is, your life will be easier in the long run because your health will be better. Anyway, that's just an example. You could kind of apply it to different aspects of your life. Yeah, so remember, avoid the short-term pleasure and always go for the hard choices that have long-term benefits on your life. Okay, so the eighth lesson is take risks on things that excite you. And I'll just caveat this by saying take calculated risks. So as you get older, you might experience or see others around you maybe in poor health. Like I've seen people around me pass away, like family members, colleagues. In these kind of moments, you do kind of realize like how short life can be, or that whole thing about, you only live once. That's all really real. And of course, as humans, we have the tendency to kind of just play things safe. But I've learned over time, it's sometimes good to take those little risks here and there that excite you, that kind of bring you to life. For example, let's say you wanted to do long-term travel. Maybe you wanted to change your career to do something that you really love, but although it might pay less, or maybe it's you want to take a career break. Whatever it is, it might feel quite risky at first because we're wired to kind of back away from things that might seem a bit too risky. But sometimes we need to listen to, or we need to remember that there might be some positive outcomes that could potentially come from this. For example, with me, so I've done, let's say, 2 long-term career breaks to focus on things that are important in my life, like family, travel, volunteering, experimenting on passion projects. Those things did not come easy. I've had to, either request for a sabbatical or quit work, not having an income. It was a risk, but it excited me. It's something I always wanted to do. Because as cliche as it is, we do only have one life. And as I mentioned, just make sure that it's slightly calculated. You do have some backup plans. For example, having some backup emergency funding. So just don't forget to take some risks in life that excite you. Because when it pans out, when the positive outcome actually comes to life, those are the things that make our life memorable. Okay, so the 9th life lesson is that time compounds as well as money. So we always talk about compound interest, and it's usually related to money. They say that the 8th wonder of the world is compound interest. Usually what happens is if you look on a graph where the horizontal axis is time and the vertical axis is amount of money, with compound interest, it's usually, they call it like a hockey stick curve on the graph, because you usually don't see much happening or much increase during the initial stages, but over time, money compounds, it's interest on interest, and it builds up over a long period of time. And the more time in the market, the higher the amount will end up. So what I've learned is that these same principles also apply to time. So for example, if it's working on your health, working on a passion project, working on a business, the more consistent you are at spending time doing something, that thing will also compound over time as well. And I see these happening in my life as well. So whether it's like sports, health, personal finance, mindset, personal development, all these things I've kind of became fairly good at because I put the time in on a consistent basis to get good at them over a long period of time. Okay, so the 10th life lesson is understanding the power of gratitude. Now, this is a massive one for me because I think being grateful and thankful for what we have right now is one of the best hacks for a happy life. Gratitude just grounds us when everything around us is saying, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, this will make us happy, that will make us happy. Gratitude grounds us down to what's really important to us. It's a good reminder. Okay, so I talk about gratitude a lot on this podcast, so I won't go into it in too much detail. I think you kind of know what it is already. But one thing I'd probably say is do have some sort of gratitude practice, whether that's in the morning or in the evening. Try to fit it into your day-to-day life. Okay, so the 11th life lesson is to make time for play. You know, we're always working so hard, we're trying to achieve our goals, we're in this sort of hustle mode. But if you think about it, all of this working is all about trying to live an awesome life and trying to have more time for play. So I think that's what life is ultimately about. It's why we work so hard so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labour. So my suggestion is to put some time in your calendar, ideally weekly, for the things that you love to do. And try to do something as far away from what you usually do at work. So for me, I always love to put some family time in the week, some time for my hobbies like my weekly football or basketball, date nights with the missus, going cinema or going somewhere to eat. So for you, what are the things that you put under the category of play and see if you can insert them into your weekly calendar? That way, you know that you'll do it consistently and it's not just at any sort of random times or not happening at all. Okay, so the 12th life lesson is to take action. Now you can have all the knowledge, all the strategies, all the plans, but if you don't take action, it's all just a dream. You know, it's not reality, it's not physically around you. So just make sure that you physically execute on your plans. The best way that I've done this is to start small. You can just do like little experiments maybe just to begin with, but that kind of gets you over the line of taking that first step. From there, naturally, you'd build momentum and hopefully you could do it consistently. So for example, before I started investing, I was reading loads of blogs, reading loads of books, watching loads of YouTube videos, and just researching and planning. But then things really didn't fall into place until I made my first investment. That actually became real. I could actually feel and experience progress. And that's what helps you keep going, gives you that momentum, gives you that drive to continue. So I learned that any ideas, any thoughts of inspiration, it's sometimes good to get it out into the world. You could experiment, you can see if it works, you'll learn a lot, instead of it just being stuck in your head. So yeah, any of your ideas that you have, get them out there, get them out into the world. Sometimes you just never know where it will take you. All right, so those are the 12 life lessons that I've learned over the years as I turned 40. All right, here's a quick recap on the 12. So the first one is invest in gaining knowledge. The second one was get financially literate. The third one was take accountability for your own life. The fourth one is to design your life. The fifth one is to know yourself. The sixth one was to listen to your gut. The seventh one was a quote, which is hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. The eighth one was take risks on things that excite you, with the caveat to take calculated risks. The ninth one is that time compounds as well as money. The 10th one is understand the power of gratitude. The 11th one is to make time for play. And then the 12th and last one is to take action. All right, so that wraps up the episode. I hope you've learned one or two things. If you learned just one thing that would help you on your journey, I'd appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star rating on your podcast player app. You can also click follow if you want to hear more about life design, purpose, alternative FI strategies. Feel free to also share it with a friend if you think it might help them. Have a great Christmas holidays, and as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.